So hi everyone, I am Norfebi Sahagon, the discussant. So for this video, I will discuss the chapter 6 from the novel, The Tale from the Two Cities. So the chapter 6 is entitled The Shoemaker. So this famous novel was written by Charles Dickens. But before we delve deeper into the novel, let's have first the learning objectives. So at the end of this video, I hope you will be able to enhance vocabulary by deducing the meaning of new words and to understand the setting, background, and the context of the story, and to develop reading, listening, and speaking skills. And the last is to gain the ability to reflect on the story and the outcome. So who was Charles Dickens? He was a noteworthy author of the 19th century. He was an English writer and social critic. He created some of the world's best-known fictional characters and is regarded by many as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. So Charles Dickens was an English writer in the Victorian period. In the said period, it was the reign of Queen Victoria. The writers from this era emphasized realistic portrayals of common people and something that promotes social change. So Charles Dickens was known because of his notorious fiction works that somehow awakens or change the perspective of people in his time. So A Tale of Two Cities, a novel by Charles Dickens set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolutions, depicts the plight of the French peasantry demoralized by the French aristocracy in the years leading up to the Revolution. So the said novel sets in London and Paris, which are the cities. So the London city is from the country of United Kingdom, while the city of Paris is from the country of France. So the events in the novel happened before and during French Revolution. As what I have said, The Shoemaker is an extract or a chapter in the novel of The Tale from the Two Cities. So the novel tells the story of French Dr. Manette, his 18-year-long imprisonment in the Bastille in Paris, and his release to live in London with his daughter Lucy, whom he had never met. The story is set against the conditions that led up to the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. Now let's talk about the French Revolution. So it lasted 10 years. It began in 1789 when revolutionaries stormed a prison called Bastille. The revolution came to an end in 1799 when a general named Napoleon overthrew the government and established the French consulate with Napoleon as leader. So there are reasons why French Revolution happened. First is the French could not produce enough food to feed its people. Next is they forced to work for the local nobles, and next is the nobleman took advantage to the commoners, and last is there are new ideas about social and political reforms were spreading. So the French Revolution lasted for 10 years in France when the Bastille or the prisoner controlled the medieval armory. At that time, the Bastille represented royal authority in the center of Paris. The revolution was stopped when General Napoleon overthrew the government and established the French consulate. Now let's talk about the history of the novel. So the French Revolution was one of the most important events of the 1700s, and its influence was still strong in Charles Dickens' time. So because of the French Revolution, it made Charles Dickens to write a fictional stories which has the content of the French aristocracy. So the revolution began in 1789 with the attack on the notorious prison, the Bastille, a key event in the Tale of Two Cities. So the event in the French Revolution, or the main reason of the revolution, was the key event in the novel. So the France's revolutionary government frightened Europe's monarchs who feared that the spread of democratic ideas would bring an end to their power. The European monarchs sent troops to end the threat to their thrones wars raged for 6 years. Now we have the setting of the novel. As what I have mentioned, the novel happened in the cities of Paris and London. Now we will talk about the characters in the chapter 6, entitled The Shoemaker. Mr. Jarvis Lorry, an older gentleman who works for Tellson's Bank. Lorry is a model of loyalty and discretion, friend of Dr. Manette. Next we have Lucy Manette, the daughter of Dr. Manette and a wife of Charles Darnay. Next, Dr. Alexander Manette, a French doctor. Lucy's father and a prisoner of Bastille. During his imprisonment, he lost his reason and thought he was a shoemaker. Next is Monsieur Defarge, the former servant of Dr. Manette, a morally ambiguous, revolutionary character who often functions as a foil to his more bloodthirsty wife, Madame Defarge. Now we will talk about the summary of the chapter 6. The shoemaker is dressed in tatters. When Defarge asks him his name, he replies, 105 North Tower. Mr. Lorry then asks the shoemaker if he recognizes anyone. The shoemaker seems as if he does for a moment, but his face quickly clouds over. So Dr. Manette suffered in prison that he can't identify himself, but he knows himself by the room number in the Bastille, the prison in which he was held. Lucy approaches with tears in her eyes. The shoemaker asks who she is, noticing her blondy hair, and he removes a necklace he wears and reveals a scrap of paper containing some golden threads of hair, stray hairs from his wife, which he has kept all these years as a spiritual escape from his imprisonment. Overcome by emotion, Manette struggles to recognize his daughter. Lucy rocks Manette's head on her chest like a child. She promises him that his agony has ended and gives thanks to God. So when Dr. Manette saw the hair of his daughter, he remembered his wife. So in the chapter 6, it was stated that Dr. Manette was keeping golden threads of hair from his wife. So Dr. Manette sees a new life when he recognizes his daughter, which has resemblance to his wife. Mr. Lorry and Defarge arrange for their immediate departure before he leaves. Manette asks to bring along his shoemaking tools, which Defarge escorting them. The group is able to get past the barricades in the street and reach a carriage. Mr. Lorry asks Dr. Manette if he wants to be recalled to life. Dr. Manette replies, I can't. So the doctor asks to bring along his shoemaking tools, which has metaphorical meaning. His trauma still lies close to the surface, and when Dr. Manette uttered the words, I can't say, it means that he doesn't totally believe that he could escape his traumatic past. The Shoemaker by Charles Dickens illustrates the story of an imprisonment shoemaker who had lost his battle with time. Having been imprisoned for a very long time, Dr. Manette has lost almost all of his memories. When he finally meets his daughter, he is taken aback by surprise. So the chapter 6 depicted a story of a prisoner who lost his time with his family. The doctor was imprisoned because he knows about the crimes committed by the Evermonde brothers and attempted to expose them to the authorities. Now we will talk about the themes in the chapter 6, the shoemaker. First is the reign of terror. Dr. Manette's unjust imprisonment for 18 long years highlights the terror, cruelty, and oppression by those in power. The Bastille symbolizes this abuse of power. So this means that the people who have power during the revolution gave unjust imprisonment to those who do not obey them. They choose to prevail the cruelty, terror, and oppression. Dr. Manette's unjust imprisonment tells us that justice only favored to those people who are in power or who have power. Next is renewal. After having been imprisoned for years, Dr. Manette is recalled to life by Lucy's love. In spite of the terror and oppression during that time, Dr. Manette's recovery shows the possibility of renewal towards a better tomorrow. So love is an extract, but it has powerful to awaken someone's feelings and memories. So Dr. Manette recalled to life when he sees love despite of the terror and oppression. And the last theme is the power of love. This can be seen through the character of Lucy. In spite of Dr. Manette's bad state, Lucy's love and care brings him out of his trauma. When she goes to prison to meet her father, she is soft and gentle towards her. So the love of Lucy to her father is unconditional. The power of love is to conquer all, and when we love someone, we take risks and possibilities to be with that person. So those slides are for my discussion of the chapter 6. If you want to understand or if you want to view more about the novel, Here are the links that could help you to engage with the sad story. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you for watching.